The hangar was alive with noise. Boots clanging against metal, aircraft engines roaring in the distance, the low hum of voices layered with laughter. His laughter cut through everything else. Loud, mocking, directed straight at me. "Just a girl in uniform," he said. "She won't last a day." His friends chuckled, shaking their heads as if it were the funniest thing they'd heard all week. I stood there, spine straight, jaw tight, saying nothing. Silence can cut deeper than any comeback. He thought he'd humiliated me. He thought I'd let it slide. What he didn't realize was that silence, for me, was strategy. My name is Major Evelyn. I am 35 years old, and I serve as an officer in the United States Army. Mockery wasn't new. Women in uniform hear it in whispers, in sideways glances, sometimes even in orders delivered with a smirk. But his words weren't whispered. They were sharp, public, designed to wound. And the worst part wasn't the insult. It was how much the others laughed along. That night, lying in my quarters, I replayed the moment. The way his voice carried, the way his friends doubled over, the sting in my chest. I could have snapped back. I could have reported him. But revenge is sweeter when it comes at the right time. I told myself, wait, watch, be patient. My family had shaped me for patience, though not always in kind ways. My father, a retired truck driver, used to tell me discipline was just shutting up and doing the job. My mother, a librarian, prized silence too, but for her it was about listening more than speaking. My brother, 2 years younger, reckless, always quick with his fists, never believed in silence. He'd yell, fight, crash through life like a storm. The only one who truly understood me was my grandmother. She'd survived a hard marriage, raised kids while working double shifts, never complaining. She once told me, "Quiet women aren't weak. We're calculating." Those words lived in me like steel. Training for the mission was brutal. Desert drills under a blazing sun, tactical scenarios stretched past midnight, endless rehearsals for contingencies no one wanted to face. He strutted through it, barking orders even when they weren't his to give, flexing arrogance like muscle. His friends still followed his lead, laughing whenever he cut me off in briefings, rolling their eyes when I spoke. I bit my tongue, noted every slight, every smirk, every dismissal, because arrogance in uniform isn't just annoying, it's dangerous. One evening, while we cleaned weapons, I caught him whispering again. "She'll fold in the field. Mark my words. Can't wait to watch." I didn't turn my head, didn't react. Just locked the bolt carrier into place with a metallic snap. My silence unnerved him more than a retort ever could. He smirked less that night. The mission came faster than we expected. Orders were sudden, deployment urgent. The air smelled of jet fuel as we loaded up. I could see it in his eyes, still smug, still sure of himself. But the desert doesn't care about arrogance, neither do ambushes. We landed under a moonless sky. Heat radiated off the sand even at night, sweat soaking into our uniforms before the first step. Radios crackled. Boots sank into shifting ground. Every nerve was alive, every sound magnified. He was point man, swaggering at the front, hand signaling commands like he was untouchable. His friends trailed behind, nodding, feeding his ego. I stayed near the rear, silent, scanning, waiting. The silence of the desert is a different kind. Heavy, watchful, the kind that warns you just before everything erupts. It happened quick. Too quick. A burst of gunfire split the night, echoing across the dunes. His swagger evaporated instantly. The man who laughed at me, mocked me, smirked at my silence, froze. His eyes went wide, his hands trembling around the rifle he'd once held like a trophy. The desert didn't care that he was a man. The enemy didn't care that I was a woman. In that moment, only competence mattered, and I was ready. I remember the sharp tang of gunpowder in the air, the sound of bullets snapping past, the sight of him faltering, stuttering half commands his friends couldn't follow. I stepped forward, calm, clear, loud enough for every soldier to hear. "Form left flank, cover fire, now." They obeyed, not him, but me. For the first time, his authority vanished, and mine filled the vacuum. He looked at me, stunned. The same man who once called me just a girl now stared at me like I was the only thing keeping him alive. And maybe I was. The firefight raged, sand spraying, boots pounding, adrenaline burning through every muscle. But in that chaos, I felt something else too. A strange calm, like I'd been waiting my whole career for this exact moment. This wasn't just battle. This was my silence answering his laughter, and it was only the beginning. The firefight lasted minutes, but it felt like hours. Gunfire cracked against the dunes, ricocheting in sharp echoes. Sand stung my face as I moved through the chaos, barking orders that cut sharper than bullets. "Cover left, advance slow, watch elevation." Voices obeyed. Boots shifted. Formation held. The squad stopped looking at him for direction. Their eyes turned to me. He crouched near the front, chest heaving, rifle clutched too tight. The same man who mocked me as just a girl now trembled like a recruit on his first day. His smirk was gone, and with it, the illusion of his control. I'll never forget the smell. Smoke, sweat, desert dust all churning together. My earpiece buzzed with fragments of radio chatter. Friendly support inbound. Estimated 20 minutes. 20 minutes is forever under fire. And in that stretch of forever, he unraveled. His voice cracked. "We're pinned. We can't." "Quiet," I snapped, louder than I meant. The squad froze for half a second, then looked at me. "We hold this ground. We don't break." They believed me. Not him. Me. A memory hit me like a flash of light. I was 13, standing in our backyard. My younger brother had broken a neighbor's window with a baseball. Dad shouted, pacing, ready to storm across the street. I stepped between them and said, "I'll handle it." My voice didn't shake. And when I spoke to the neighbor, calm and steady, the anger dissolved. My brother whispered afterward, "You're scarier than Dad when you're calm." That same calm lived in me now, decades later, under gunfire. Minutes crawled. We repelled the ambush, held the line, and when support finally arrived, the desert went quiet again, eerily quiet, like even the sand was holding its breath. We counted heads, all accounted for, alive, shaken, but alive. I glanced at him. His uniform was streaked with sand, sweat soaking his collar. He couldn't meet my eyes. The soldier who laughed the loudest was suddenly the quietest man on the field. Back at base, the aftermath began. Debriefing rooms always smell the same. Stale coffee, recycled air, faint disinfectant. Command wanted a report, how the ambush unfolded, who took charge, what decisions were made. I told the truth. Every detail. I didn't embellish. I didn't gloat. But I didn't omit either. When asked who issued orders that stabilized the squad, every soldier pointed to me. He sat in the corner, face pale, lips tight, saying nothing. That night, word spread faster than desert wind. Major Cross took over when things went south. She saved the squad. He froze. I didn't repeat the rumors. I didn't need to. The Army runs on stories, and this one had legs. My family reacted in their predictable ways. My mother on the phone whispered like she was telling me a secret. "I'm proud of you, Evelyn. But be careful. Men don't like being shown up." My father grumbled that it wasn't worth the risk. "Just keep your head down, do your job." My sister laughed, saying, "So you embarrassed a macho guy? Sounds like Tuesday." And Mark, my brother, always blunt, just texted, "Good. Break him. He deserves it." But arrogance doesn't die easily. The very next week, I overheard him in the mess hall. He tried to spin it. "She only looked good because I let her take over." His voice shook when he said it, though, and the soldiers around him didn't laugh this time. They just stared. That's when I knew his grip was slipping. The respect he'd once commanded had turned to doubt. Doubt is poison in the army. Once it seeps in, it spreads everywhere. The opportunity came sooner than I thought. A second mission. Higher stakes. A convoy escort through hostile terrain. This time he was assigned as acting lead. His chance to reclaim authority. My chance to watch him fall. We rolled out before dawn. The desert sky bruised purple with the first hint of light. Engines rumbled, radios crackled. Every soldier tense. I kept my silence, but my eyes never left him. Halfway through, the convoy hit trouble. An IED buried shallow shredded the lead vehicle's tire. Dust filled the air, panic rippled. He froze again. This time, no one even looked at him for orders. All eyes turned to me. Secure perimeter. Get medics forward. My voice cut through the haze. Soldiers moved instantly, falling into rhythm like we'd trained for this moment. He stood motionless, rifle slack in his hands, while I directed the response. Afterward, back at base, the whispers turned into statements. Cross leads, not him. She saved us twice. He's finished. I didn't spread those words. They carried themselves. He confronted me that evening outside the barracks. His eyes burned, his jaw clenched. You think you've won? He hissed. I looked at him steady. No, I don't need to win. You already lost. For the first time he flinched. Not from bullets. From truth. I went to bed that night knowing revenge wasn't about shouting or fists. It was about patience, precision, and letting arrogance write its own obituary. But I also knew this story wasn't finished. Because humiliation is fuel for desperate men. And desperate men are dangerous. The desert has a way of stripping people bare. No medals, no swagger, no polished speeches. Just fear, sweat, and the truth of who you are when survival hangs by a thread. He hated that truth. He hated that everyone had seen it. By the third mission, the whispers were no longer whispers. Soldiers spoke openly. In the gym, in the mess hall, even in formation. Major Cross held the line. He froze. The army runs on reputation, and his had collapsed. Still, command gave him one last chance. A logistics run through contested ground. A simple task. On paper, the convoy rolled out under a cloudless sky, engines humming steady, dust trailing behind us like a banner. I sat in the second vehicle, scanning horizons. He rode in the lead truck, jaw set, hands white-knuckled on his rifle. Minutes in, radio chatter spiked. Unidentified movement ahead. Shadows on the ridge. The kind of silence that comes before the storm pressed down on all of us. Then it came. Gunfire erupted, sharp and merciless. Glass shattered. Tires screamed. Soldiers shouted for cover. I waited for his voice. An order, a direction, anything. It never came. I remember the moment in sharp detail. He ducked, hands over his helmet, words tumbling out. Half commands, half panic. His men hesitated, caught between loyalty to rank and instinct to survive. So I did what I always do. I stood. Form wedge, secure left and right, suppress fire now. Clarity swept the chaos. Boots pounded. Rifles fired in controlled bursts. The squad shifted like a single body, every movement precise. Not because of him, but because of me. Through the smoke, I saw him watching me, his face pale, his authority gone. When the firefight ended, we counted casualties. 2 wounded, none fatal. A miracle. I logged the report, documenting every action, every command. His name wasn't there. Not once. That report went straight up the chain. And this time, there was no shielding him. The Board of Inquiry convened weeks later. Stiff uniforms, long tables, a room thick with judgment. He sat across from me, eyes hollow, sweat beating at his temple. The colonel spoke first. Records indicate you, Sergeant, failed to provide clear direction during hostile engagement. Major Cross assumed command and executed all tactical decisions. Do you contest this? He opened his mouth, but no words came. Silence swallowed him whole. I spoke instead. Calm. Controlled. The record is accurate. That was the nail in his career's coffin. Afterward, I walked alone across the parade ground. The air smelled faintly of cut grass, flags snapping in the wind. Soldiers passed me, some nodding, some whispering my name like it carried new weight. For him, the whispers were poison. For me, they were vindication. Family responded in their own ways. Mother, in her hushed tone, "This will follow you, Evelyn. People don't forgive women who win." Father, gruff, "You've made enough enemies to last a lifetime." My sister, sarcastic as ever, "Well, at least you proved you're not just a girl." And Mark, my anchor, said simply, "Good, now maybe he'll learn." But we both knew men like him rarely learn. They just fade. The army stripped him of his chance at promotion. His file was stained with failure, his respect dissolved. He lingered for months, bitter, a shadow of the man who once mocked me. Eventually, he requested early retirement. On his last day, I saw him one final time. He passed me in the corridor, duffel bag slung over his shoulder. He paused, eyes locking on mine, anger flickering like dying embers. "You think you won?" he muttered. I didn't break stride. "No," I said softly. "The army did." His face twisted, but he kept walking. That was the last I ever saw of him. Some nights I replay it all. The laughter in the hangar, the silence of the desert, the way his voice cracked when fear replaced arrogance. I wonder if I became colder, harder in the process. Maybe I did. Revenge doesn't leave you untouched, but it left me stronger. Because in uniform, silence isn't weakness. It's patience. It's power. And sometimes it's the sharpest weapon you have. Now, when I stand before younger soldiers, men and women alike, I tell them what I learned. Arrogance collapses. Discipline endures. He tried to make me small with his words. I let the battlefield make me loud with my actions. And in the end, my revenge was silent, deadly, final.